So I figure we kind of do it like inside the actor studio style. This is the perfect venue for that. We'll get to know James over the next hour. I think the best way to introduce him, it's the first time I'm seeing the book actually. So I was honored when he asked me to write the introduction, and I haven't read it since I wrote it. So, but I think it's a good way to get to introduce James in a fun way, because we're going to learn about so many other details. So you mind if I just read this to introduce you? You guys mind? Okay, all right. So here we go. I started writing this just after midnight, on the crease between the old and the new year, that time between 12 and 6 a.m., when it's not really one thing or another, not last year or fully the new one. It's a special time, a moment when it's everything and not what you think it is, all together at the same time, fertile. James reminds me of that time between the old and the new. It was a dark and chilly night in New York City in 2010 when I first met James. We were both attending a dinner held by Dana Cohen and Kate Crater for Food and Wine's Best New Chefs at Scott Conant's restaurant in Manhattan, right across from the Village Voice building. It was an awkward time for me. I was coming straight off the street serving tacos, driving as far away as I could from my past life as a chef, only to find myself right back in the middle of that world, closer to the sun than I had ever been. Because of that awkwardness, I was searching for someone who looked just as out of place as me, and that was James. Maybe it was because he was Asian. Maybe it was just a vibe, but I was like, this dude right here, I'm going to be friends with. But this is where the complexity of James started to unfold for me. Of all of us, he actually was more in place than out. As a chef, he'd done the trifecta of the Fat Duck, El Bulli, and Mugaritz, like a climber tackling the 3 major mountain peaks of the world. But when I said, what up, he was like a homie I'd known my whole life. We spent the weekend together cooking at huge events, being the center of attention, taking pictures, feeling weird as shit, and cracking jokes the whole time, like we were kicking it on our bikes in the park. I got to know him over the next couple years, and every time I thought I got closer to knowing James, I found out so much more than I thought I knew. To me, he was a Thai kid who grew up in the 510, who was extremely meticulous and stoic. But then I find out that he's Lao, a keen businessman who cooks really soulful food and funny as heck. He's also the dude that whenever you call him, he's always available. Multiple restaurants, Michelin stars, family man, always changing menus, yet always has the time to pick you up in his pickup and just hang. That's James. I write this personal anecdote of my relationship with him because as you read his book, I only hope you can become friends with him as I have. I hope you find a surprise and a smile and a revelation at every turn of a page, as I have in him as a person. Because like the crease between the old and the new year, James is a suspension bridge between form and flow, meticulous and laid back. Thailand and Laos, chef and friend, awkwardness and confidence, technique and soul. He's not one thing or another, and he's probably going to be someone completely different than you thought after you read this book. He's a man of surprises. And like not writing the Komi cookbook first, but going to find the food of his heritage, the title of this book should be Surprise. So that was my intro to the book. So
Thank you.
This is James. Let's start, James, with like where you were born. Where were you born?
I was born in Ubon Ratchathani, the northeast region of Thailand, about an hour and a half from the border of Laos. There's no Ubon, culturally it's Lao, but with the political borders, Thai. So when I tell people, hey, what's your story? It's like, I'm a Thai refugee. And people scratch their heads. Like, does not make any sense. There's no such thing as Thai refugees. Like, Thais weren't not granted asylum to come to this country. So like, I give them the whole story. It's like, my mom's from Thailand, my dad's from Pakse, from Laos. They got married, and and that's why I'm here, because of my dad.
So Northeast Thailand, at that time, you were probably born in the mid-late 80s?
I was born in
70,
79.
79.
Came here when I was like to Oakland, 81.
Was it countryside, or was it a city?
Yeah, it was countryside.
Like
Rice
real
fields,
country, like a bucket?
super country. dirt roads, no
I
electricity
can say that shit
then.
because I'm Asian, man.
Water buffaloes and all, going
Yeah.
out to hunt for, grasshoppers to fry for dinner,
Yeah.
livestock. It's talk about farm to table, man.
Yeah.
That's how you survive and live. There's nothing to brag about, and like this whole organic thing is like, yeah.
So this is years after the war. Do you remember immigrating?
Like
And how did you get here? Did you get here by plane or boat or?
we got here on a plane. I did not remember anything at
Yeah.
all prior to my arrival to Oakland. Even looking at the pictures, I have some pictures you see in the book. I was in a refugee camp, and I was like, I just have no idea. I do not remember that moment, but
Yeah.
I was there. At just such a young age. So we arrived by plane. There were a couple. When we got granted asylum to come to the States, to the American dream, we had a list of cities we could go from. Part of my father's family went to Woonsocket, Rhode Island, and somehow my father, by himself, decided to come to Oakland.
And how did your family get picked? And this is more, I don't know, because the Korean immigration was different than Southeast Asian, because, we weren't coming off of the war, just years off of the war. And ours were more based on illegal immigration and then
Yeah.
also education to students. Like a lot of college kids would come over and just never go back. But how did your family get picked out of all the families, and what made it that you were granted asylum versus maybe some other family in the village?
For my understanding my dad's story, my grandfather, my father's father, was helping out in the war.
Oh.
I'm not sure which side he was fighting on. That's how, it was like, thank you. It's like, like you can take your family to the United States. And that's how we came about.
So you land in the 510, land in
5-1
Oakland.
Landed in Oakland.
Oakland in
Actually,
what, like 81,
80,
82?
81. Actually, we didn't land it. We actually landed in
That shit was
Alameda.
pimp back then.
Alameda, yeah, it was. It was like,
Yeah.
it's different from what Oakland is now, for sure.
Yeah.
But we landed in Alameda.
That shit was Chocolate City back then, baby.
It is. Alameda was like a big naval station. It's now retired, but we landed there, and we got a social worker, whatnot, and they placed us in this small community of 25th and Telegraph in Oakland, and that was like the Lao, lack of a better term, ghetto. It was just other Lao families that arrived in the United States in the same
25th and
situation.
Telegraph,
25th
right
and
above
Telegraph.
Koreatown, right?
Yeah,
Right
right
there,
in the heart.
yeah.
Yeah. So we all landed there, and like all of a sudden, it's the whole Lao village community. Isan transported into 25th, that one block, and all of a sudden, like it clicked. Like the way we interacted, the way we talked to each other, the way we barter for
Yeah.
goods and secrets, and just a whole family, because a lot, just like my family, just got fragmented within the United States. Their families also got fragmented in the United States as well, so we don't have each other. So we started building this community. It was like, so and so will make one dish, we'll make like, somu, which is like the fermented soured pork, and one family will make sin hang, which is like beef jerky drying on top of the apartment roof lines, and we'll trade. And that's how, that was like our currency at that time. And when we got together, it was a big potluck. We have an empty lot that's in between our apartment buildings, and we barbecue on weekends.
Why wasn't that neighborhood more close to Chinatown at that time? Was it just the way it happened?
I think it's just the way it
in the
happened as
history of
social
Oakland?
workers, and
Yeah.
it was all like Section 8 housing.
Yeah.
So it was
okay.
all like supplemented by the government for low income families who just got here. So it's like that whole block was supplemented, like one bedroom apartment buildings. We're in there like 10 deep.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
That must
everyone
have been
just
fun, man.
it was fun. It was fun. I kind
How
of
long,
missed those.
that was like all the way up through kindergarten and
I mean,
elementary?
within that block, I
was
probably
it magic like that at the beginning?
yeah. Until like the 89th earthquake. I
Okay.
think that's the Loma Prieta earthquake was a major earthquake that we had in California that kind of shattered the community.
Okay.
It's the first time, like, we didn't have earthquakes. My parents didn't know what to do. It's like, what the fuck is an
Yeah.
earthquake? Why is why are like bricks crumbling on our
Yeah.
building, and why is like the world shaking? And it was like it was new for everybody because that's so foreign. So it shattered the community, like no water, no electricity for a week, and people just like didn't know what to do. So we broke apart. You know, some people moved down to Richmond. Now Richmond has a big Lao community.
Okay.
Pinole, or move out to East Oakland, all the way up to Sacramento. You know, so
Yeah.
that community got fragmented, but we stayed. You know, a few family members stayed, and we moved around the block in that neighborhood a couple of times, like other houses, and like went from a studio to a 1 bedroom to a 2 bedroom once we got older. But you know, I lived there till I was about, well after high school. So I actually started culinary school, so I was like 19, 20 years old, lived in that same block. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part of Oakland is, I don't know if you guys go to Oakland, have been to Oakland recently, but I've been very fortunate. I've been going ever since I've been growing up, but in the last 3 years I've been going a lot. And that area is changing a lot. Uptown, Telegraph, the 20s and all that, but that seems like a great time.
Oh man, it was a great time. The A's were in the World Series, Battle
Yeah.
of the Bay. It was, the block was hot back then, you know. But that's also when we started our own family restaurant. It was around that time, like around 1990. So earthquakes 89, 1990, we started the restaurant in Concord, of all places.
Wow.
Like deep East Bay, and like,
So were there a lot of the community, were they working odd jobs and stuff, or under the asylum?
Yeah, it was
were
like-
were you getting checks from to survive and?
yeah, so we were getting like, checks and food stamps to survive,
Yeah.
to buy food. My father was working as a mechanic at
Yeah.
the time.
So everyone was picking up odd jobs and then save up, and then some would break off and make a restaurant or a market or.
Yeah, so my mother started, the only trade she knew how to do that's tangible to make money was cooking. So she started working in Thai restaurants in Berkeley,
Yeah.
Cham, which is like the school for Thai cooking in Berkeley. It was like the
Okay.
Chez Panisse. A lot of like alumni worked at Cham and branched out and opened their own restaurants. So good and bad. Now, like, there's like 10 restaurants in Berkeley having the same pad Thai, but
Yeah.
you can't blame them, right? So after that, the family dream was like work for yourself.
Yeah.
Even back home in our own country, like you want to work for yourself. So my dad quit his job as a mechanic, and my dad worked in front of the house. My mother would work back of the house. My uncles, my dad's brothers moved from Woonsocket, Rhode Island, to Oakland as well, and lived on the same block. And we opened this family restaurant. I started working
Who's
there.
eating in these restaurants, these Thai restaurants in the mid '80s, late '80s, early
Just,
'90s?
Berkeley, it was in Berkeley, it was like students,
Okay.
a lot of travelers, tourists.
Yeah.
Thai food was new, it was exotic
Yeah.
then, so it was like the new thing. Same thing when in Concord, it was like, I think we were like the first Thai restaurant exists in Concord, and the reason why we decided to open in Concord because our social worker, who was Lao, lived in Concord. And she was like, you should open a restaurant in Concord. There's a market for it. And, she invested, and we ended up in Concord, and
Okay.
spent my most summers in Concord, and, I was,
So who's James at around this time? Puberty, high school. Oakland's a tough town, and I know Asians got their place in the
Yeah.
Bay and stuff, but were you gravitating towards hip hop? Were you a quiet kid? Like,
I was kind of a little bit of both. Then it's like my teens, like 12th grade, was like, 12 years old, about
Yeah.
6th grade, right? Somewhere around
Yeah.
there. I spent my summers at the restaurant. I was
Okay.
a prep cook. That's
Okay.
how I got a love of cooking, but it was also my mom's way of keeping me away
trouble,
from
yeah.
out of trouble. Like you see other Lao kids like get into trouble, and it's like, she used to show hang out with so and so's son. I hear he like sells pot, and then like, he doesn't come home, he runs away, and he's like, yeah. But like it's growing up.
How do
in-
trouble kids dress? We were creasing our shit back here in LA, like creased jeans, creased T-shirt, rat tails. Is that how it was in the
No
Bay?
rat tails, definitely no creases.
No
Actually, Dickies. That was the thing.
Yeah, you guys wore that baggy shit.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, Dickies, plain white tee.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the hat with like the chronic with the weed on it. You know, it's like that was it. The
Yeah,
belt.
once your kid brings home the chronic hat,
Yeah. But
shit's kind of going
but
south.
you know, my parents were very well protected, and then you know they were good. They weren't like the typical like they didn't want me to be a lawyer. All they concerned about, please don't get arrested, please don't die, and please don't get anybody
So
pregnant.
how'd you get from Oakland to Concord? You took the BART every day after school and went.
After school, yeah, that was the grind.
down,
You know,
yeah.
like after school up to culinary school was like culinary school was from 7 a.m. to 2. Hop on BART from San Francisco all the way to Concord and like grind away. You know, and just
Yeah.
that was the grind. But I loved it.
So you went to culinary school right after high school?
Yeah,
Oh wow! So you knew.
I knew like 10th grade.
Uh-huh.
You know, and I was in the advanced placement classes and reading Charles Dickens and
Yeah.
all this stuff, and I was like, do I really need to do this shit? Like, I want to cook. Like, I should be reading like art culinaire
So
and
you
like.
got the bug really early.
I got the bug really. I was fortunate. I knew what I wanted to do, and I told my teachers that. And like, you know what? I don't want to go to AP class in my junior year because it's kind of irrelevant for me. I told her that. She was like shocked. Like, what do you mean? You should get an education. Like, no, I want to cook. Like, I want to spend my time in kitchens.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna get me ahead.
So who's James as 14 to 18-year-old cook? Are you like fully? Are you a good cook, or are you just doing it because you're your mom's son, or are you like in there like banging out cases and cases of?
I mean,
prep and
that's
mise en place
me,
and,
and
like-
my knife skills was pretty good when I was a young
Yeah, when
age.
you were young, you
I
were-
was
you were
like,
fast.
I was pretty. Yeah, I was like going to culinary school. I was already ahead of the game, and I
Okay.
was like, you know, but you know, it was different culinary school. Like there's.
And did they rely on you at that time, or were you
Oh, yeah.
just so you
I
were
was-
actually a piece
I
of
was
the
on
machine?
I was on
yeah.
the schedule.
Yeah, you were on the schedule,
He's
sun
like-
and schedule.
He's
okay.
like, get your ass here. It's a Friday night. You know?
Okay.
You
Wow.
can't go hang out with your friends. You can't go to Sam's birthday party.
Yeah.
Because you need you at work. Which is, you know, looking back, I was like, yeah, I was upset. You know, I couldn't be a regular teenager. I couldn't go to birthdays, but you know, I guess I was very mature at that age. Like, I need to help out the family.
Yeah.
So that's what I need to do. We couldn't afford to hire somebody. I was that fourth guy on the line
Wow.
working like grill and saute.
I didn't know that about you. So you were at the restaurant your whole.
Yeah,
Your
my
whole adolescence.
yeah, exactly. That's
You
why I
didn't go
don't-
out. Nothing.
AP classes wouldn't help me because I won't be able to do the homework. We didn't have time to
Did you
do
go to
homework.
like prom and homecoming and shit like that? Or?
I only went to my senior prom. That's it. I
Okay.
went solo.
Oh, you went solo.
Yeah, I went
Smelling
solo.
like galangal.
Pretty much, fish sauce for cologne.
Yeah,
you
fish
know,
sauce.
it's like-
Like, right
I'm
here.
just like, I'm ready.
So
Not really, but yeah.
So, okay, so you're cooking. You have brothers and sisters?
I have one younger brother.
And was
Yeah.
he in the
was
kitchen as well?
he was there, but he wasn't really into it.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
he was like, no, I'm just gonna lock myself in dry storage and play video games.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
That sounds like me. I grew up in a restaurant too. That sounds like me. When did you guys move the restaurant from Concord to Uptown?
We lost our lease for the restaurant in Concord, and then we found a space that's closer to home. My parents were kind of tired of commuting the half hour
Yeah.
each way, so this was like 2 blocks away. So my mom did that. I think about right when I graduated high school.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was like 97, 98.
And was it the same restaurant basically that moved?
Yeah, pretty much
Yeah.
it was like a photocopy.
Yeah.
Same menu, the name was different, same recipes, whatnot, or no recipes. Like, you know, my mom has the same hand, so it's
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah.
nothing's changed. But I was in culinary school then, and then, you know, graduated.
You
started
guys
working.
open 7 days a week?
It was just 5 days.
5 days.
5 days.
Okay.
So they had like a normal life. It was like
Yeah.
a business district, so weekends were kind of like. I mean, back then too, Oakland was very, very quiet. You know,
Yeah.
the tall buildings didn't exist. It was just like
Yeah, what was Uptown like back then?
empty parking lots. So all
Empty
those,
parking
those,
lots.
you know, where Pecan, all that stuff. Those were
Yeah.
all like car dealerships, like functional
That's right.
car dealerships, and then the parking
All
lot.
up Broadway and everything.
Yeah,
right?
like the Broadway Grand, all that stuff. There was just empty parking spaces, really. Caltrans. It was like a ghost town.
Yeah.
When we moved in. But you know, things started to get gentrified and whatnot, and then yeah, it is what it is now.
All right, so you're at the CCA, California Culinary Academy, right?
Yeah.
On Polk Street.
Polk
right,
Street.
in San Francisco.
Yeah, in the TL.
In the TL.
So go from one ghetto to another.
Yeah.
Can't
so
escape it.
So you're there in culinary school. You're already way ahead of the game. It's probably coming really easy to you, but you're learning a whole new lexicon of flavors and
Yeah, it's like my
techniques.
first time actually cooking with butter,
Yeah.
with dairy. Like my mom's place, we didn't use cream. Like we didn't make beurre blanc. We didn't bake. So it's like a whole different skill set. And that's
And
why
this is
I
like
wanted.
mid-90s or
There was like early. It was I graduated in '99. Yeah, like late '90s.
late 90s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just like I was learning a lot. The things I saw on TV, with like these fancy chefs with toques they were doing. It's like I got to do that. I got to
Yeah.
wear a toque, a neckerchief.
Yeah.
I was the youngest kid in the class, but yeah, it was like a whole brand new world. So I was like kind of learning all these things again. But my knife skill game was like legit, so I didn't have to worry
Yeah.
about that part.
Nice.
But yeah, it was like a year and a half went by quick, and started looking for a job after that. And
Is there externships at CCA?
there was externship. I actually did my externship at a culinary school.
Oh, okay.
Crazy enough, but
Yeah.
this is a culinary school that's for the public, and it was at Drager's in San Mateo. They had a culinary school above a grocery, like a high-end grocery store, like Whole Foods. But there were incoming guest chefs, like Marcus Samuelson would come in. Gary Danko had a restaurant there. Like all the big New York chefs would come in. I would do their mise en place
Oh,
and like be their sous chef during their demos and classes. So it was a way for me to go cook at these different restaurants, but they're coming to me.
yeah.
So it was kind of cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd you find that? I mean, it seems kind of not traditional because
Yeah.
most culinary students are looking for,
Yeah, yeah.
the
Maybe-
most challenging or hottest restaurant or most challenging chef.
Yeah, for me, it's like I need to continue education. I want to see as much from different chefs on the professional field, than in one place, rather than like being stuck on Garmin J for 3 months
Yeah.
and making Caesar salad. That's not going to do me any
Well,
good.
knowing you for the last 8 years now it totally makes sense why you would make that choice.
Yeah,
That's totally
yeah.
you. Yeah.
It was cool. So I had this like broad perspective and like also like real life perspective working with
Yeah.
these chefs. I got to stream that.
Yeah.
It's like I knew that. That's why I signed up for it. I'm like, this is awesome. I got
So
that.
you graduate the CCA. You've done your externship. You're still in your early 20s, probably,
Yeah.
right? What happens after that?
After that, graduated CCA, did my internship. I started looking for a job. That's not my mom's restaurant. I applied to Chez Panisse.
Okay.
It's in the book. Didn't hear a call back from them.
Yeah.
It's a pretty entertaining read, actually. So I'll leave that in the book for you guys. And like I had no prior experience in like Western kitchens, so maybe that's why they didn't call me back.
Yeah.
Only thing on my resume was my mother's restaurant. So I was working in a Pan Asian place for a little bit. That still has like a brigade. I wasn't used to working.
That was
in-
Beetle Nut?
Yeah, it was Beetle Nut. Oh, it was Xanadu and then Beetle Nut.
Janet,
Yeah.
shout
so,
out to Alex.
Alex, yep. And then I kind of followed him as well, and he was from like Stars and like the Ritz Carlton.
Oh
so he
yeah, and that was
knows-
the heyday of Beetle Nut.
Yeah, so he knows systems. So I wanted to
Yeah.
be like working a real brigade. So I did that, but but I was still cooking Asian food. I was
Yeah.
too familiar. So I started doing stages. I did my first stage at Moss's on my
Okay.
days off from Beetle Nut with Ron Siegel.
Yeah.
I did that for like 2-3 months, like waiting for a position to open up. Nothing came about, and at the time, fortunately, Bruce Hill was working for Real Restaurants, and Beetle Nut was part of that restaurant group. He was kind of like consulting and like
And this
planning
was
his own
the
spot.
heyday of Bay Area chef
Yeah, yeah.
kind of blossoming. I mean, the early 2000s, yeah, with Ron and Alex and
Yep.
Manresa just coming up, and Elizabeth Daniel with
Daniel Patterson,
DP,
yep.
and A16 just
A16
opened.
just
You know,
opened.
that was
That
like,
was like-
yeah, that was
yeah.
the time.
That's when like
Like
California.
I was in New
cuisine-
York in the late 90s cooking. That was the time. At that time, which produced a lot of the talent.
Yeah,
now.
Captain Place, Bradley
Yeah.
Ogden, like
Yeah, and the Campton Place. and all that.
all
Okay.
the big
So
schools.
you were right there in the middle of it all.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then Bruce Hill told me about, hey, I told Ron, like, Ron doesn't have any positions for me. where else should I look? He's like, oh, there's this guy named David Kent. She opened a restaurant in Los Gatos, and I'm pretty sure he's looking for help, you know, and he had this restaurant called Saint Sophie. I'm like, Saint Sophie, and look up David Kent. She's like, I don't know who this guy is.
Yeah.
So got in my car, drove down, knocked on the back delivery door, and bumped into Joseph Centeno
Yeah.
from Barama and Orson
Yeah.
Winston.
Shout out
And
to
he was-
Joseph, great chef here.
Yeah, he was the first original chef de cuisine at Manresa, and he goes, "Can I help you?" You know, starch jacket,
Yeah.
different from the Joe you hear now. It's so funny, clean cut hair.
Yeah.
He was like he described himself at that time a Frenchman trapped in a Mexican man's body.
Yeah.
He was a hard ass. He was like, you know, keep things tight, you know, and at this point, like I submitted my resume and I didn't tell him where I worked at or what my background was, 'cause I didn't want to be disqualified because I didn't have any. I just told him like, hey, because Joe also worked for Ron Siegel.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, hey, I'm stagiing with Ron at Masa's. You know, I'm looking for work. Does it have anything for me? He's like, oh, cool. You were there with Ron. He didn't know my Pan Asian background or Thai food background. I was like, I don't gonna blow my chances, you know. So he's like, come back for a stage. So I came back the next day, you know, and it was like walking on to like a spaceship, Manresa, like, you know, Bonet stove, like stainless steel polish for days, tiled walls,
Yeah.
you know, heat lamps. It was like,
It's like, especially growing up the way you did and the way I
Yeah.
did, I had the same feeling when I first walked into La Bernardin in New York. I was just like, what the fuck
It's like
is
copper-
this? You
copper-
know, like, I want to be a part of this.
Copper pots and pans,
Yeah.
we're wiping plates, we're putting things on linen, you know, we're not like
Yeah.
sitting on like a plastic stool or chopping vegetables, you know, sitting down. So I was like, wow. So I like, you know, was granted an opportunity and I worked my ass off, you know, it was
Yeah.
like
Were
first
you
one.
good from the beginning, or
No, I screwed up
do you
so
have
many. I was
some
so
horror
nervous.
stories? Or
Oh yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, you know, I wasn't used to like expediting
Yeah.
and like labeling things, and you know, this was like, it was like for me, it was like military school. It's
Yeah.
like, well, I'm getting thrown in, but that's what I wanted. I needed the discipline,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's what helped me to this day. It's like, hey, you know, looking back, it's like it's a discipline. You know, keep my towels folded, keep my like spoon bane nice
Yeah.
and clean. Make sure everything's legible, nice and labeled. Put
Yeah.
your initials on it, so you know you take accountability. I was there, Jeremy Fox, right there. We started
Jeremy
about
here?
the same time. He's right there.
where's he at? What's up, Jeremy?
Yeah. We started about the same time, a couple of weeks. So we used to cover each other's
Yeah.
stations when it was 7 days a week, and
Sure.
yeah, and it was like, you know, like I was there for 2 years, and you know, and then every time I go to the bathroom at Manresa, and the walls were filled with these great menus from like the European restaurants that David's dined at, you know, Arpège and Dubarora
Yeah.
and Lamboisie and like El Bouilly, like when they had a la carte. So I'm like, okay, I'm here in Manresa now. It's
Yeah.
like the next step is like, chef, where do you get your inspirations? And obviously he worked at these great places. I was like, you know, I need to go there.
Yeah.
I need to go there.
So you were there about a year, or is this
Uh,
after
about-
like 6 months, or
About almost 2 years.
almost 2 years, and then
Yeah.
you're just you're seeing the world now.
Yeah, I've seen
and
the
you're
world
getting
now.
the
I have like
itch.
global
Yeah.
views, and
Uh-huh.
he brought like the first volume of the El Bouilly book to work, and it was
Okay.
in Spanish. I
So you
flipped-
went directly from Manresa to Europe, or
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were flipping over this El Bouilly book. I'm like, holy shit! It was like
Yeah.
talking about. I thought what we were doing was cool. I'm like, I get where David's getting. This stuff was like art that you put like on the wall. You
Yeah.
know, I'm like, I need to go to this place and check this place out. Like, does this stuff taste good? It didn't matter. It was like the train of thought. So you know, I start sending emails, whatnot. Start organizing my trip.
Yeah.
My 3-month planned trip ended up being a year.
So how did it happen? Did you were setting it all up, and then you got your plane ticket and you just took off?
I bought a
did you-
one-way
one-way
ticket.
Do you have just one bag or 2 bags?
I had a rolling backpack
Uh-huh.
and just a duffel bag.
That's it.
Knives,
Yeah.
clothes.
One-way ticket.
One-way ticket. I was
And
a
what was the first stop? The Fat Duck?
fat duck. I was
Okay.
an STA student.
Okay.
That's how I got the one-way ticket, even though I
Okay.
didn't go to college. Got all my
So you
discounts
land
to
in
museums.
London. And you
Then-
find your way to,
Yeah, so, went to the Fat Duck for a month. It was awesome. It was like
what was the first day like at the Fat Duck?
it
First
was
week.
long. It was just like
Yeah.
talk about like very calculated, really scientific. You know, we have like centrifuges and liquid nitrogen
Yeah.
and like that stuff like but the food was delicious. It's like going down to nitty gritty like the science of cookery. Everything's very
Were you
exact.
prepared? Were you good? 2 years at Manresa, you show up at the Fat Duck. Were you?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I was
Were
good
you
enough
ready?
where I could help out. Like
Yeah,
somebody
good
told me,
enough
like
to help
give me a
out.
task,
Yeah.
put this recipe together, help with butchery. I was able to do that. But just like seeing that food go out in this little tiny kitchen, that's like
You
at the
must have been
time.
like the only Asian dude around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Were they cool to you? Or I heard
Oh, they were super.
I heard British kitchens are tough.
No, they were super cool. That's
Super
the funny
cool.
thing is, I walked in. It's like this is a 3 Michelin star restaurant, and walked through the door. It's like they're like playing Eminem, like full blast. I'm like, this is a 3 Michelin star restaurant.
This
you
during
know?
prep.
Yeah, I started doing prep, and even in racing, we didn't have a radio in the kitchen.
Yeah.
It was like really shocking. And Heston would come by, and it's like, "Hey, mate," blah 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 blah, and it's like, he's like, "Hey, chef," he's like, "Oh, call me Heston." I'm like, "Wait a minute, this is a 3 Michelin star restaurant." That's like, it's like, do you guys roll like this all the time? He's like, "Yeah, we play, but when
Yeah.
when it's game time, it's game time, man. You gotta get your shit."
Was he
together."
elbow deep in everything at that
Oh, yeah.
stage of his career, or was he just directing?
He's
most
super
of
elbow deep. At
Super
that
elbow
time, he
deep.
only had that and the brazen head, so he was expediting,
it? Yeah.
and he was standing like pretty much. Fat Duck Kitchen's tiny, or like back to back.
Okay.
He's like couldn't move really because
Yeah.
I just had to pivot.
Yeah.
My job was just put like three coriander seeds on top of this sole, with tweezers, like like me shaking, like Heston's like there, and he's like looking at me, just smiles. I'm like, oh fuck, look, I'm gonna get sent home real fast. But so there's that, and then Mugaritz, and then I got a job at Alchemia, this 1-star Catalan restaurant, just
Okay.
out of the blue, randomly I walked in, I had a great meal there, and he's like, "Yeah, I want to come stage," and I ended up working there, paid under the table,
Wow.
and I had to learn Catalan. I'm like, oh, great, my Spanish is not even good, yet I got to learn Catalan, all places, and did that for about 2 months, and then went to Paris just to go hang out and eat and burn a hole in my credit card. So I looked at my time in Europe was like grad school, after culinary school. I'm like, okay, I got these credit cards, so my car, so my motorcycle. Let's see how many Michelin star restaurants I could eat at, like Arzac and like Martin Berstagi and Lamboisie, went to Arpège and like
So you ate at all these.
I was by myself. I was at the time like 24 years old.
Yeah.
And went to Zara, bought a code because jacket's required. I didn't know.
Yeah.
It's like untailored, like sleeves like this long. But
Zara was even cheap back then.
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
It was like well, the dollar was strong back then.
Yeah.
Including the euro, so I lucked out. But yeah, like that was like the best thing I've done for myself. And the whole time, people thought I was a Michelin inspector. It was the hoot.
Oh, you really?
He's like single diner, has his notebook out, like very curious, like looking at every single detail.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like
That's hilarious.
It's so funny. Like everyone thought I was Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should have. Did you play into the Italy? Like, did you
I
not
didn't-
speak at all?
No,
like,
I
when you
didn't
were
know.
there?
I didn't understand how
Did you
to.
bow like when you walked?
No. I should have.
Yeah.
I could have got like better service.
I know.
like that.
You should have.
But I didn't understand the Michelin guy. I just knew like 1, 2, 3 stars. I didn't know how like the inspection thing works. And now I know. And looking back at it, it's like that's why they were so nice to me. It was like
Yeah.
it was like
That's
I was a
dope.
Michelin inspector.
That's nice. So you're touring Paris, having a blast, getting the best service because
Yeah.
you're working for Michelin. Then do you go to El Bulli after this?
Yeah,
Or-
so I applied for El Bulli. It's like this website. You just pretty much give them your life story, like where you're from, how many languages you speak, what restaurants you worked at. And I applied in December, and their season starts in April. I didn't hear anything back. I was in Paris, already dead broke, and then ready to come back, got my return flight back, went to the STA office and like, I'm going back home. Like, what's the next flight available? That same day, check my email, it was Albert Rodrigue, one of the CDCs from LBE. It's like, hey, James, I got a space for you. You want to come to LBE? We need your help. One of the stages didn't work out. I was like, oh, shit, this is a tough choice. Called David, talked to Jeremy. It's like, hey, LBE wants me to come back to Spain, but I'm broke and I'm ready to kind of come home.
Yeah.
What should I do? And they're like, go.
Okay.
So couldn't afford a flight, so we took the train back to Roses. And then, I was there for like the next 6 months and had the time of my life. And the kind of rest is history.
Such a romantic life.
I wish.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay, we're only halfway through.
LBE it was like going to college because all the kids I lived in this 3-bedroom flat with like 12 other guys. We're all in our 20s.
Yeah.
It was like a frat house.
Yeah.
It was like cans of beer everywhere. I was like, this is my college experience right here.
Yeah.
I never had the real college experience. Every night we're at the pub drinking and smoking hash.
Yeah.
And but
And
wake
where
up
you're
in the
living
morning.
is literally walking distance to the restaurant?
No, so it's like this one windy road. It's
Okay.
like in this cove of a beach resort. It's like a miniature golf course next to it. It's kind of weird. But the only way to get to LBE is either one of the chef de parties who are paid have a car and you wait at the bottom of the hill to get picked up. If you miss them, you have to wait until like a purveyor.
Oh, shit.
And
Okay.
because you're an international person, they're like, you just know, you're like, he works at LBE.
Yeah.
So it's like working at LBE is like the golden ticket in Costa Brava and Roses. So like every club we went to, we were like royalty.
Yeah.
We went to like parties all the
It's
time.
like Officer and the Gentleman. You're like
Pretty
Richard.
much.
You're like Richard Gere. Yeah.
Pretty much like it's just like LBE, like skip the line, let's go
Yeah.
guys, and like party bottle service and like.
Did you guys wear your chef coats everywhere
Nah,
you go?
nah. It's just
you
like
didn't need to.
we stuck out. It was like the Rat Pack, You
Yeah.
starting to see like in like Spain, like there's a Korean guy, Thai guy, Danish guy, a guy from Zimbabwe,
Yeah.
and another American. Like it was like they must be from LB. There's
Yeah.
no other way to explain this.
And they're all in their 20s.
They're all in their
Yeah.
20s.
Yeah.
They're all like look like exhausted,
Yeah.
but want to go out, and some of us were still in clogs,
Yeah.
It's just like they got to be from LBE, and like sure enough, it's like, in
So
the
what's
club.
the party town like? What? So you're working probably 14 hours a day?
Yeah, so the day would start around 10 a.m. We go to about 1 a.m. And
And it's Spain, so you
Spain,
go
it's
out.
light,
and
like 1 a.m. That's when the party
That's
starts
just
jumping.
when it's starting. Okay.
So we'll go hit the clubs at 1, get there till like 4, do it all over again. It's
Wow,
like
that's
back-
awesome.
especially the last month when like it's a beach town, so it's very seasonal. A lot of the people from France would come down to the Mediterranean, and that would be like their summer place to go. It's like the Hamptons to them,
Yeah.
and it was like a wild time, man.
Okay. That's amazing. So we're back now in the States.
Back in States.
You go back to Manresa, or?
I go back to Manresa, opened Qua, and then did a thing of
Okay, so
Plum
you
Jack
helped
Cafe
Daniel open Qua.
Mhm.
Okay.
for like 6 months, and then opened this place called Plum Jack Cafe. Not opened it, but revamped it.
I remember when that opened. Yeah.
Yeah, and
It
then
was in the marina, right?
yeah, that was like my first head chef job. I went in there doing very progressive
Yeah.
food. Critics loved it.
You were the chef.
I was the chef.
I
Yeah,
remember
it
that.
was
I
my first
remember,
chef job
yeah.
at like 26 years old.
Yeah.
Like super green and like nervous. But,
Really great reviews.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like working 7 days a
remember,
week
yeah.
for like 10 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, lunch and dinner. We
Mm-hmm.
did lunch service too. And and David asked me to come back, and
Mm-hmm.
I jumped on it. And that time, Manresa was totally changed. It was attached to a farm now, and it's
Yeah.
like it was a whole new beast. And at the time, like Michelin came out, and they got
Yeah.
2 Michelin stars. I'm like, okay, I need to go back. But my target was to open my own restaurant. And I told David from the get-go, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I'm gonna come back work for you, but I'm gonna do something in Oakland.
So that leads to Komi. So
Mm-hmm.
what's happening now between your second run at Manresa and Bubbling Ideas and Plum Jack Cafe, and then Bubbling Ideas for Komi? How's Komi becoming real?
Komi
your
is like
life?
conceptualized like like the small restaurants I ate in Europe, all these like gastropubs and like doing shorter menus at a more reasonable price point. You know, it was kind of like affordable luxury and it was something like a cook can afford. So we opened Komi with like a 4-course menu. It was like $49 or so.
Did you get investors or? I mean, you're a cook. You're a chef.
Yeah,
I mean,
I had some investors that were
we're
actually.
not making any money.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I didn't know how to schmooze. I
Yeah.
didn't have any. I didn't have a Rolodex to like, email people and say, hey, I'm gonna do this investor dinner, like, or would be interested. So I got some friends to invest. It's like $10,000 here, and it's like, I told them like, hey, if you lose your money, we're still gonna be friends, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was cool. I had to like get that out of the way. So I was like, restaurants are a bad investment. I had to be upfront with them because they're friends. But again, like I applied for about 10 credit cards.
Okay, so you did a lot on credit cards.
Oh yeah. I
to
was
build up.
really
Yeah.
good. I had like a spreadsheet of like how to do like
You did Europe on credit cards too.
balance transfers.
You
You
know
know, I
how
was
to
a
do
king
it,
of
yeah.
balance transfers
Okay.
for a while.
Oh, that's right. Where you transfer over and then you get you lose all that the interest or whatever.
Interest, exactly. It's like
yeah,
sweet,
that's
zero interest for like
Yeah,
12
zero,
months.
you
I'm gonna
keep
take it.
moving them, right?
I keep moving them around.
Yeah.
I had a system. So we opened Komi and they got us a Michelin star in like 3 months.
Okay.
And then
Why'd you choose Oakland?
I was home.
Yeah.
There was nothing like it in Oakland. The
Okay.
only thing that I did prefix was Chez Panisse.
Yeah.
And my history with Chez Panisse, I'm like, I'll screw them. I'm not going back there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't progressive. It was still kind of like California. It wasn't, now my mind's set on like I want to do very technique driven.
How'd you get the word out? Like the first month or first day of Komi? Like you had a reputation already. You know all the cooks in the city and stuff. So
Yeah.
was it just grassroots that people
It
knew
was
James was
grassroots,
opening a
and it's
restaurant?
just also like I'm attached to like Manresa. I'm part of like that family
Yeah.
tree. Like that
So
generated some
So
buzz.
journalists and stuff started
Journalists
picking
start-
up.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So thank God for that. And then we opened Kumi, and my mother still had a restaurant, and at the time, 2010, 2009, the economy was shit. Perfect time to open a fine dining restaurant, actually.
Yeah.
And then my mom's business wasn't doing so well. A lot of people were losing jobs, and she was like tired and over like the restaurant business. It was so hard. She was getting not any younger, and she was stuck in the sleep. She's like keeps crying, like I want to go home. Yeah, I need to go back to Thailand. Like it's much easier life. I could live, hang out with my livestock, see my siblings. At this time, my mother is the only person in her family in the States. She has 10 other siblings, all in Thailand. So she kind of felt homesick. She doesn't speak the language, doesn't drive, and she also felt like she was a burden to me because I was taking care of her. So she had this lease of this restaurant, the one on Uptown, and like I was the exit strategy. I was like, told her breakdown. I was like, Mom, I'll take care of it. Transfer the lease to my name, and now I'm stuck with this lease. I'm like, I could open a bistro or something like that. It's like, no, there's something sentimental about this space, and it hit me. I'm like, okay, if you go back home, who's gonna cook Lao food or Isan food for me?
Yeah.
I'm like, I can go to Auntie's, but it's a goddamn shame I don't know how to cook this for myself. That's what got me into cooking in the first place. So I started taking interest into it, and I told my mom, like, Mom, I want to do this. She's like, really? He said, you got a fancy ass restaurant. Why do you want to like do this? I'm like, I think I just need to do it because I need to like teach myself how to do this, And she was already she's like 1 foot on the plane at this point,
And so
She's like,
this is Hawker Fair.
yeah, she's like,
coming
good,
to
she's
life.
like, good luck.
Yeah.
I'm like, thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
So it was like cooking by memory. What
And you
things
took
taste
over
like.
your family restaurant.
I took in my mom's
the same
restaurant,
space,
remodeled, did the whole shebang, and we opened just doing rice bowls actually because, like
Yeah, Hawker Fair was a different restaurant. I remember when it 1st opened.
it was just like very simple, a couple rice bowls with grilled meats, very casual at that time for the lunch crowd.
Yeah.
It was still like the economy still wasn't great. I think it kind of eventually evolved. It's like, it was still too American in a way. So I started to like change the menu, sticky rice, things got spicier, things got funkier,
Yeah.
things became more a la carte and family style, got rid of the rice bowls, people were upset. But it felt right, and just kind of
Food just got better and better and better. James,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, it's
Like
like
the last time I ate there, It was just like, it was just so good.
I think
Yeah.
the last week we were closing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you came by.
Is that sauce for the pork in here?
Yeah, it's in there.
Oh, that, what is it?
I don't
You know the
remember.
name of it?
Which one?
There's this dipping sauce for the pork that he did. Oh my
I think
god.
it's like gel salt. I think it's in the back.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's
So
in the back.
yeah, so
You
that's
could
kind
drink
of.
like a 32-ounce cup of
Yeah.
it.
So man, even like some of the dishes in the book are not on the Hawker Fare menu. Then we opened Hawker Fare San Francisco, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go, you know, San Francisco. Like they're, you know, travelers. There's social media. Like I could like test the waters a little bit and
Yeah.
push the envelope. You know, like started putting things like kang no mai and like gel badak and stuff like that, like fermented fish paste and stuff like that. And I think like, oh, people can be well received. It was like,
So San Francisco Hawker Fare was a lot more difficult and conservative than Oakland.
yeah, that's
Wow.
like what I found was like very, very surprising.
Wow.
Which
So-
makes sense now because
So
like,
has it evolved since then, or do you have to still kind of keep the safety on the gun over there?
oh yeah, I had to keep the safety on the gun.
gotta
You know?
keep the
It was
safety
like
on the
for me,
gun.
it was like a business decision to take dishes off the menu because it's like there's nothing wrong with this dish.
Yeah.
Yes, it's bitter. Yes, it smells, but that's the way it is. You can't convince people. I mean, people like have their own, preference and their own
But the
palate.
mission is different than it was. Maybe
Yeah.
if you would have opened in the 90s in the
Yeah.
mission, it might have.
It's true. So
Yeah.
like now it's like now the book's out.
Yeah.
So and it's like I think I'm gonna go back and change the menu again and like put the dishes that people like on and actually I was talking about this with the writer from Rob Report earlier this afternoon. It's like I'm gonna do like the I don't give a fuck section of the menu.
There you go.
Like no refunds, can't send back, everything's correct.
Yeah.
You don't like it, it's your risk. And the funny thing is, it's been like a big social experiment. Like, I'm pretty sure if I put that disclaimer on there, it would intrigue people to order it more, But they can't send stuff back. That's the main thing. That's like the most disheartening thing when, it's correct and you know what it should be and you know what it was supposed to be, and you get a bad review on Yelp. It just makes you angry. I take it too serious, So I feel like putting that disclaimer on there, kind of like, curious, like I told you, man, like, shut up. So,
That whole culture of sending food back because you don't like it, I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if any of you all do that, but don't do that. I don't know I don't know where that comes from. I wasn't raised
I
like
mean, if it's like undercooked or if it's still raw, I get it. But say you don't like it, like, come on, like, taste is such a, it's very subjective. It's like not every one dish is for everybody, not every one restaurant's for everybody. Even when you order something, it's still a gamble, It's like you just got to roll the dice and trust your instinct, but like don't send stuff back, man.
But tell me about, we got about 5 more minutes. I want to leave some room for questions. I'm sure you have a lot of questions in the crowd. Tell me about writing the book. What was the process like that with John?
With John, it was.
It looks like you guys went and spent a lot of time researching, going to the homeland,
And I think going back to the homeland was more for me. I just kind of need like reassurance of point of reference. I only know the food through my mom,
Yeah.
but I wanted to know how my mom knows that food from her perspective. And I want to know, like, find a unicorn of like, what the hell's authenticity, right? It's like for a month I ate about 3 papaya salads a day, trying to look for authenticity. And they're all different, made by different people in different villages in different parts of Thailand and Laos. And like, how can somebody say one's more authentic than the other? It's bullshit. That's why I say authenticity is like unicorns. Everyone's claimed to see one. I say a unicorn has wings and 3 horns. You say it's one. I'm like, no. That's kind of like my argument. Like I want to like really get like this whole bent thing on authenticity, and when people say this is not authentic, it's like, what do you mean? What even that word means anymore, right? So that was kind of more of a feel-good kind of thing. That's kind of my argument,
I was looking in the green room. I was asking you about some of these pictures, like these villages. It's just like I've been to Thailand, and obviously, all throughout Asia and Korea. And, so, and I know I've lived in villages like this, and it's just like none of these motherfuckers got jobs, man, and they eat so good.
Well, the thing is, it's like that's
It's like
what
it's
make them-
amazing. They're just surrounded by food. You know.
Well, I think that it's more cultural. I think here, food for us is just more a sense of nourishment and survival.
Yeah.
Where there, it's a fabric of life.
Fabric of life,
You know, like
the market.
even in like Spain and Europe, like you take time to eat.
Yeah.
You know,
Same thing.
You take time to eat.
Nobody got a job in Greece.
Yeah. I mean, there's no
Yeah,
fast
eat.
food. You know, it's like nothing's on the go. It's like we take our time to be with each other and have a meal.
So why'd you go with Anthony Bourdain? We have the same publisher.
You know,
So-
it just like for the book I wanted to write. I know it has to be written in a certain way, in a certain voice, in a certain tone.
Yeah.
He'll get it the best. I know he will not filter me
Yeah.
at all. You know, I was like, hey, I get 4 F-bombs, right?
Yeah.
He's like, as many F-bombs you want,
Yeah.
man, just go for it.
Was he involved in was he reading chapters as you turned them in and stuff like that?
No, it was pretty much like, I don't
Just
want to see it
hands-on.
until you're done.
Okay, great.
You know, like very, very little intervention. The writing process was cool. I wrote a lot of it between like 1:30 a.m. and 4 a.m.
Yeah.
It's a time where like, no disruptions. My phone's not going off with text messages. I'm not checking emails. Kids are asleep. That was like kind of the best time to write. But we started. Took me 3 years only because we got a third of the way there, and like, I decided I wanted to start over. It wasn't deep enough.
The one thing I love about Asian kitchen. Sorry to get off track.
Yeah,
Is just because we're both trained in European kitchens in a sense. I mean, you have your childhood going, but like everything is standing up.
Yeah.
But like in Asia, everything's sitting down. I love that shit, man.
I know, me too.
And shirt off, sitting down, peeling onions. You
Yeah,
know,
like-
it's so great. Rolling dough. I mean, his sweat has to be falling into this dough here.
He's
wearing no shirt.
The kopiak.
It's got to be like 100 degrees.
No, it is. That's in Laos. It's like in
Yeah.
the backyard, like this family.
And his sweat's got to be going into the food.
Flavor, baby.
Yeah.
It's like adding. It's like
I love it.
How do you think how San Francisco sourdough started?
Yeah, that's the
It's
sound.
probably from some guy's arm, hair follicle that had like bacteria on it, and he's like stirring the mother. That's how it all started, man.
So how's the tour been?
Tour's been
And I know this is not like
yeah.
your normal life,
It's
going
been
on.
good just to talk
the
about the
CBS
food
show with
and
Gail.
talk about the process
Uh-huh.
and having this book out there because there's a lot of sacred moments to me personally that I kind of need to air out, and like the writing process, like John was a perfect partner to write the book because he really tested me, and really asked the right questions. Like when the first time you had this dish, who was in the room? What was the lighting like? Was there smoke?
Yeah.
What were you wearing? I'm like, I don't think about those things, but
Yeah.
all of a sudden you talk about a dish, all of a sudden your memories like comes out like that. All of a sudden you see it all play out right in front of you, and I mean a lot of it is like very, very like put me like in an uncomfortable position because some things like I don't ever talk about. Not even my wife.
Yeah.
Like my wife didn't get to read the book at all, not even the draft, until like you read when it comes out, so you can't change anything about it because this needs to be like, unadulterated. It's between me and John.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is there a Komi cookbook in the future?
Uncle Tony already planted the seed.
Is your European side gonna show that side?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm still like enjoying this book right now,
Yeah.
and eventually I want to do a Komi book, but it's gonna be a restaurant book. That's I think this is like more personal
Yeah.
story, and a Komi book will eventually happen, but I don't think Komi is like ready yet for a book. We're still kind of finding. I know it's been 8 years, but we're still kind of finding our voice. I don't think it's like fully realized yet. I don't think any restaurant would ever be,
Yeah.
but I mean, Uncle Tony already like planted the seed. Like, what's next? Komi book? I'm like, he's like, can it be a picture book? Please,
Yeah.
please, please.
Yeah. Where's Komi now as far as the food? Where are you as a
Oh man,
chef?
it's
Where's the food?
gotten fancy.
It's gotten
So
really
funny
fancy?
thing is, the food's kind of going back to here at Komi actually.
Oh really?
I'm kind of using this as a reference point. Like, no, food should be delicious. And sometimes at Komi, we tend to overthink things. You know, it's like, oh, it's too cerebral.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're chefs, and our foremost job is to make things delicious. You know, like there's a tapioca dumpling, sakul. That's like it's in the book. Traditionally, it's made with pork, peanuts, encased in like tapioca pearls and steam, eaten with lettuce. So a funny thing, like komi, we make a version of that with like guinea hen and truffles,
Okay.
and we serve as a snack.
Wow.
And people were like, "You're a genius. This is so cool. How do you think about this?" I'm like, "It's done. You know, I just mix up the flavors. You know, that's like the really cool part." So a lot of Hawker Fred nuances are making it into the komi dish, but still it's Western.
Is it still affordable? $49, $59?
No, it's
You've
two
gone
Michelin.
up?
It's gone up. We're affordable for a 2 Michelin star
Now
restaurant.
you're a 2 Michelin star restaurant.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, we got to keep it with the times. And
Okay.
I have double the staff now, and everyone's in suits. And but we carry ourselves really loosely.
Yeah.
You know, we play music loud. And it's more mature. You know, it's still komi. It's just a more mature
There you
komi
go.
now. 8 years old.
Well, speaking of mature, James Syhabout. We can open it up to some questions, and then obviously there'll probably be a book signing and stuff after. Any questions for James?
Yeah, if anyone has a question, I'll bring the microphone to you. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Thanks for coming out tonight and being somebody who was in families in the restaurant business with an Asian background. I totally kind of understand, your experience. What I'm interested to kind of learn or understand is the future. I mean, what things are happening, and this is for both of you, what's happening today that is exciting to you that, seems very different and, a lot of people should maybe pay attention to that they may not.
What's exciting now? I think what's exciting for me as a chef is really taking advantage of the fact that social media exists, not for an advertising sake, but like pictures. Now you can geotag like a place, and actually kind of go there and sparks curiosity, and make people seek it out. It's like people can look at Luang Prabang, Laos, and look at somebody's meal at Luang Prabang. I'm like, wow, that's Lao food? Dude, is there a Lao restaurant around? So I think what makes me excited is like, wow, there's interest in it now because of social media and people are more well-traveled. So that gets me excitement because I feel like that's going to build demand for a lost, unknown cuisine, and I'm excited for that. I think a lot Filipino food's having a moment too with Bat Saint. And I think it's kind of the same reason because social media to see photos and wow, I'm gonna seek that out. What is this thing? Because I'm the same way. Like Georgian food. I don't know what Georgian food is. But I look at pictures that looks delicious. Where is a Georgian restaurant I can go to?
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
For me, I live kind of in a weird space because I'm not really I'm not I don't run restaurants where other cooks and chefs try to seek out. I cook for more of a mass audience. And it's just something where my life has taken me, and I'm very, very comfortable and proud of that. But I think where food is going, as far as what I'm involved in, is just continuing to get this country to the access to food to continue to grow, and for us, because where we come from as far as cooks and commis, it's a subculture, right, where you show up to someone's back door and you have to seek it out, and you seek out that life, and then once you find it, then you connect with others that have seeked it out as well. But and there's always going to be a place for that. But I want to see food can grow like Taekwondo or Jiu-Jitsu studios in suburbs. Take the art form and then make it so that more people can access it and can become a part of it. Because right now, for me, it still lives in the state where if you don't have access to food or kitchens, or if your life doesn't lead you in that direction, you're never going to be able to taste fish sauce, for example. And for me, I think it's just, it's in this world now, it's just, there's no excuse for us to continue to hold on to these things and not share them with the world. So I see the next 5 to 10 years of where it becomes a little more, the marbles spread across the table a little more, and you're going to start to see a lot more influence from areas that you haven't seen so far. So that's where I see food going.
Hi, thanks so much for being here. I've learned so much from hearing you speak. I'm Filipino, and I always am having to describe to people about what Filipino food is like, and even to my Asian American friends who know a lot about Asian food, I'm surprised they know so little about it. I'm just curious how you describe Laotian food to other people. I mean, if they're asking you that all the time,
Yeah.
how would you describe it?
I mean, I always start with like, what's the common denominator? There's always like with like neocolonialism and politics, there's always some kind of common denominator. I heard a friend, Tom from Bad Saying, he goes, how do you describe Filipino food? It's like, well, it's a little bit of Portuguese, a little bit of Spanish, but there's a little bit of Asian to it. And like, that's a right answer because the common denominator there is Spanish. And the masses know Spanish food. And, linguiça and Portuguese, and like, that's kind of like the entry gateway to understanding Filipino food, but it's more elaborate than that. I know, but I think like to explain people and attach what you want to say to them to a common denominator. In the book, I write, it's like, you had Lao food before. You went to a Thai restaurant, have a pie salad, and you had lop. I'm like, that's Lao food in a different form, but the origins of those dishes is Lao. So you are kind of attach it to a populist culture and to get them to understand because those flavors are already in their head, and then like, oh, I love Spanish food. Wow, it's more than just, I know Spanish food, but it's a little bit different, there's a little spin to it. I think I would like Filipino food and then have them try it. So I think that's found the way that works for me and for other chefs. I know is like, what strikes a chord with them.
Or we just don't explain it.
Yeah.
I'm sick and tired of explaining Asian food to people, man. Like, what the fuck? I mean, like, I didn't need someone to explain to me a hot dog when I immigrated here, or a hamburger or a pizza, like, we figured it out, but that's just the way I look at it.
It's true. It's a good point.
Given this president's stance on undocumented Americans, restaurants are clearly going to be hit the hardest. Do you find yourselves being forced to become politically active in order to maintain your business and these people that you work with every day that you've grown to be family with?
I try not to involve myself in politics, but because being a business owner and in our field, I can't like turn a blind eye to it. Like we're really aware, and it does make me think. I'm like, what will happen? I think the restaurant industry will collapse. I mean, honestly, and yeah, I do have some fears about that, but it's just kind of silly, and this whole country is made up of immigrants. The fabric of America is immigrants. Really, I mean, even you're Caucasian, you have some immigrant lineage somewhere, So it's just, this wasn't just kind of silly. I kind of wanted to blow over and kind of want to ignore it, but I can't. But, it's just like, hope for the best.
I don't get political. I live my whole life. Like even before I was independent, when I lived with my family, like because we're immigrants, like we're always ducking and dodging and moving, and like and whenever someone tells me I need to do something, I do the opposite. So like I don't really give a shit about anything. I just focus on work, my family. If the world hits us with a tidal wave, we're gonna figure out how to move and mobilize and figure out the next step. But I don't get involved in politics. Again, I'm more like a graph writer, where I'll do my work where it doesn't bother anyone, no one sees it, but when you wake up, it's there. you know. So, any other questions?
Questions?
We'll take two more. Yes. Thank you all for coming out. It's very nice.
Just one quick question. What's your favorite restaurant that isn't yours right now?
Okay, good question. And just pass the mic back.
What's my
ahead.
favorite restaurant? It's very situational.
Yeah.
You know, I have a favorite restaurant for my mood, who I'm dining with, where I want to go.
Yeah, that's a hard
In-N-Out
question to
Burger.
ask. In-N-Out Burger.
It's like default.
Yeah, it all depends on, like you said, the mood and stuff. It's a hard thing because, you know, like, but I like Chosun Galbi here in LA. You know, Chosun Galbi got kind of lost in the mix. You know, in the last 5-6 years, you know, Korean food had a big spike, and I know it was a novelty for a lot of people that hadn't grown up with Korean food, and they would search out the smaller, more hole-in-the-wall places, you know, which is fine, which is great. But within that, Chosun is a little more like mature and kind of traditional, and but I really like their food, and the service is really great. Now, one more.
So I have been in LA for almost 10 years, but I hardly go to Lao restaurants because they are very far from proper LA.
Are they mostly in Long Beach here?
I went to Garden Grove to
Yeah,
go to
Garden
my
Grove,
favorite,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
Lao restaurant. And I know there are a few out there, but unlike the popular pockets like in the DC area or the Oakland area, or, you know, lots of Laotians are also in the Fresno area, like there's no big proper, like, well, not big, but no restaurant that is Lao food here. I go to Isan restaurants to get, you know, close
Yeah.
to Lao food. Would you ever considering opening a restaurant down here in SoCal?
There you go, Hawker Fair.
It's so far, you know. It's so far from Oakland. I don't know.
It's 1 hour
That's true.
by plane, Southwest.
I don't know. Don't plant a bug in my head. My wife. get
Oakland
really
to
upset.
Burbank, man, that shit's like riding the bus, dude.
That's true.
I do that. all the
Yeah,
time.
I probably spend more an hour
Yeah.
than going from Oakland to San Francisco, actually,
Yeah.
in traffic. I don't know yet, you know, like, I'm still trying to figure out how to deliver a very direct way of delivering an experience, because Lao food is an experience. It's, you know, it's like, you know, I come from a fine dining background, obviously, and like, I'm really like, I love experiences more than the food. It's like the music, and I think the only way to do it for Lao food is like prefix, you know, really like throw people.
Yeah,
and,
they have
like,
to. They have to have a spread when they sit
Yeah,
down.
you gotta
yeah.
earn their trust,
Yeah.
and the way to do that is like, I think it's prefix family style, where, you know, like, these are the dishes we're cooking tonight, and that's it, and just no utensils, and like be very dogmatic about it, you know, and,
Well,
and
this
to
is
the
the city
extreme.
that would eat that kind of way.
Yeah.
I love giving San Francisco shit.
Yeah.
Close San Francisco and open
No.
in LA. if they ain't getting you, fuck them, man.
Yeah.
You don't come to LA. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, like, that's like,
Ask Jeremy. Jeremy's found his
trust me, like, I've been,
LA, you know,
I've
this
been
is
thinking
the
about
best
this, like,
place to
this
eat.
restaurant concept,
Yeah.
like, during this book. It's like, sometimes you need to, like, pigeonhole people, and like, this is what we do, this is what we deliver. You either sign up or you don't, you know. It's like going, like, a movie ticket, right? It's like, you bought your tickets prepaid, you come in for an experience, and that's it. I think that's like something like, it would be very,
So we have no Lao restaurants in the LA city area? No?
Even the one that I was in Garden Grove is a Thai restaurant.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
do they speak Lao? Do they speak Lao in the restaurants?
Yeah, Lincoln. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've only been there 3 times, but yeah.
Somebody tweet Jonathan Gold right now.
The funny thing is sometimes like even in even in Oakland, the Lao restaurants like Bien John Cafe, I I just go in and ask for things that are off the menu. Sometimes, you know, like I'll ask them like, hey, auntie, you have like soup no mai today, or you know, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, how do you know? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just asking to ask. Really, it's like I know you guys have that shit for staff meal.
Yeah,
Come
yeah,
on,
yeah.
like, give some up.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, sometimes you never know. Sometimes you just gotta ask for it off menu, and they'll be surprised, like you have, and like actually excited that you actually take interest in these dishes.
So would that be a piece of advice? And if we don't have Lao restaurants, go to an Isan restaurant and maybe ask for.
I might ask for
the
it. Yeah,
dishes.
like
Okay.
I've gone to, where did I go? Sacramento. I went to like Isan place and asked for lop and asked like, can you do it raw with like beef bio in it? They're like, they're looking at me with a funny look, and I asked in English first to see what, I'm like, they look at me funny, and I speak, and I, you know, my Lao broke out, and they're like, oh yeah, brother, not a problem, we got you. I'm like, see, I knew it.
Yeah, that's
I
when
knew
the
it.
Tupperware came out.
Yeah, yeah, he's like a beef bottle, like from the black market. It comes in like repurposed like
Yeah.
water bottles, you know. Something like you have to hide from the USDA.
Yeah.
But that's how they roll. But
Bile, blood, and guts. Man.
It's
That's
a-
the
it-
food we grow up.
it's just a different palate. We're not used to like the Western palate's not used to like bitterness being a pleasant flavor.
Yeah.
You know, I think and like the herbs, and I think the big challenge is bitterness. Bitterness is like the most complex flavor, but it's not a favorable flavor on the Western palate because we're in like the Coca-Cola culture. Everything is sweet, you know, or salty, or like fat, sweet, and salt. You know, that's what we know, and that's what's around us. But bitter, people think, oh, it's medicinal. You know, it's kind of a turnoff. So that's kind of a challenge. My favorite Lao food. Ooh. I like, you know, I like lap gung lao, like, you know, like the raw shrimp lob, like in the paste. I mean, I grew up eating that. Like, I loved it as a child. My mom was like, no, that's not good for you. It's raw shrimp, but I loved it anyways. What else? I like, actually, you know, I like lut bang. Like, you know,
What is
like,
that?
yeah. It's like lop, but it has to be like, we did it with duck. Actually, I wanted to put it in the cookbook.
Like
where-
everything is Lao.
Kind of, it's like salad. Lop's like a salad.
Oh.
It's like a general aromatic salad. But you know,
Yeah.
for the book, I slaughtered a duck,
Uh-huh.
bled it,
Yeah.
and like reserved the blood, chop up all the meat and skin, whatever, and you season that, and you pour. You add a little bit of saline to the blood, and you pour this raw, warm blood over the minced meat and herbs, and you let it set like a panna cotta.
Oh.
It's one of the things we made in Luang Prabang with Tony
Okay.
on Port Sonoma. We did it with buffalo,
Okay.
and that's like one of my favorite things to eat. I don't know because it made me feel like a badass, but you know,
Yeah.
it's a very masculine thing. And lop is like one of those things where it's like I've noticed in Laos, it's like that's what like the men. That's the only thing like men cook in like Laos. It's like a manly thing. It's like we're making lop, you know, like I'm gonna go.
Like T-bone steaks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is, like in Luang Prabang, the markets, like the butcher aisles, they're all women butchers, but it's the men that makes the lop, which is like very, very interesting.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Thanks, James.
Thanks, James. Thanks, Roy.